Hello and welcome to Ditch Witch Diaries. We are going to go on to the next topic in Banishing, and we hope you're enjoying these. Let's see what the next one is. Ooh, this is one of my favorite ones. Yay! Banishing as a feminist or decolonial act. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Okay. So, there is an intersection of feminist and decolonial magic. So, colonization and patriarchy are entangled. They are deeply entangled and they're all about domination, and they still exist in our world.
Mm.
I can name specific like colonization things that are happening in this world right now, and there is patriarchy freaking everywhere. So,
Everywhere.
I mean, more and more now, like so much. So,
Yeah.
healing from one often requires addressing the other or coming to terms with the other. So, banishing can be used for one or both, and we're going to kind of split them apart, and then we'll talk a little bit about them. So let's think about this. Banishing toxic masculinity and Western spiritual supremacy. Like those are, yes. Let's just, yes, yes, I say yes. Banishing internalized shame and colonial inferiority complexes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Banishing inherited silence and cultural erasure. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
All of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of look at it as a feminist act. Okay, so let me just tell you. Okay, we were at this bakery in La Jolla, and it's my favorite bakery. And you stand in this big long line, and there was this, and I will stop the share while we were talking about this. So there was this, it got stuck in my head, and John's like, "You're still thinking about this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And it was because this is what happened. So there's a little girl and two little boys, and the little boys are they're fighting and they're throwing balls and they're doing all this stuff, and the little girl is just sitting there with her mom. And the boy
Mm-hmm.
came up to the little girl and aggressed against her, and she aggressed back, and the mom says to her this: you let boys hit you. You don't hit them back.
Oh, that could
What?
never be me.
Fuck. I put my daughter in jujitsu, all sorts of martial arts because I
Yeah.
trained her to hit back.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody comes up against you, like a man trying to aggress against you, that is a horrible message to be sending to a girl. You banish
Yeah.
the fuck out of that little boy. In fact, you push him over
Mm-hmm.
the edge if he
Mm-hmm.
touches you. You
Yeah.
go for the gut.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh. And so those boys were she just had to sit there looking until the other little girl showed up with her little purse and her stuff, and while
Mm.
the boys were roughhousing, and that message was just a gross message.
Terrible. Yeah.
It made me though really think she needed to that little girl needs some banishment tools because she should be
And a strong woman in her life.
exactly. If a man aggresses against you or a boy aggresses against you, you don't stand there and take that.
Mm-mm.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous behavior.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous message to give to anybody.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so banishing is about reclaiming power over the space, over yourself. Okay, so in case you didn't realize it, we're involved in a patriarchal system. Okay, women are marginalized, and we have historically been denied even sovereignty over our bodies. And it's
Even still, to this day.
let's say women can be prosecuted for taking control of our own bodies. Okay, our minds, our spaces. Okay, feminist banishing, it might target internalized misogyny, abuse, gaslighting, shame, gendered expectations. So when you do banishing as a feminist, it asserts this: I decide what is allowed in my life, what is allowed in my body, what's allowed in my psyche, and what is allowed in my space. I have the right to speak. And you know what? That's another thing. Any man that tells you to be quiet or tells you that you're yelling when you're not, you know what the word to him is fuck off. Those are the words. Fuck off. And I don't care what situation you're in, because those words, be quiet, don't speak, those are the words of the oppressor. Those are the words of the misogynist, of the patriarchy speaking right there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So banishing is about setting boundaries in a boundary violating world. Okay.
Yeah.
So boundaries and banishing, it's used to create this safe container, right? For healing, for, okay, it's like this radical act of saying no. And like women and femmes, or women with a Y, so we're taught not to do that. Okay. Also, it's about deconstructing the witch archetype, because guess what? If you call yourself a witch, I don't care if you say you're not a feminist, you are. Because the witch is a feminist, okay? Historically, like, women who defied male authority were branded as witches, okay? If you did something that was a man's job or man's work or wore men's clothes, you could be burned at the stake, okay?
Or helped other women, right? Like
Exactly.
midwives.
Exactly. Exactly. So, like, engaging and banishing, it consciously reclaims like you as a witch, okay? As a source of power rather than a target of fear and shame. So also banishing is a decolonial act, okay? What does this mean? So, okay, let me just say, oh my gosh. So I was watching last night, I was watching what was it? Chef's Table. Okay, I
Oh,
love.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard
Oh my
great
gosh,
things
it's
about
so
it.
good.
Yeah.
And one of the things they said is that they were talking about the last minutes before California and Texas became not their land anymore.
Mm.
And the leader in who is the indigenous leader, or the leader of Mexico at that time, he chose to have a feast
Mm.
and to celebrate Mexican culture in that land one last time. And you know, and it makes me cry almost, because and this whole thing about pushing people out of our country, that is a colonist
Mm.
act, okay? Because
Yeah, that's
that
like epitome.
this was their land, okay? Like, we're like forgetting. It's like an act of intentional forgetting whose land this was. That we forced people out. Like, this is again, or in Ukraine, this whole thing about taking people's land. And okay, it's not just erasing people as owning the land, but it's trying to banish their religion, their foods, their language, their, like, saying that, like, you know, English only culture, which by the way makes us the stupidest, hands
So
down, fucking
stupid.
dumbest human group in the universe by
Oh
not having
man.
multiple languages, okay?
Yeah.
We are the dumbest. It just makes us dumber and dumber. Okay, because it decreases our connections in our brain. It's like okay. Anyway, so I could get so mad about this, but it's like it's a ritual of unlearning it. And when we banish, when we try to purge these colonial mindsets, we are unlearning this garbage that we are being taught. So we're reasserting indigenous cosmologies. So, you know, we try not to do, we're like, I don't want to like do anything that, like, on my own as a white woman. I'm not taking anybody's culture. But you know what? I want to participate in other cultures practicing their magic. So, like, we had a magical kind of experience where we had a I would call I don't know if she's Hispanic or Chicano or but she Chicana, but she acted the part as Maya well in our ritual, and like it couldn't have been any other way. Like I don't want to ever like be the person who does that, but I certainly want to participate. Like I want to honor the traditions and keep indigenous traditions alive, and I want to learn from indigenous people and their use of herbs. Let me tell you, I want to learn like fuck about the use of herbs. I'm excited about their like indigenous use of herbs. So,
Yeah.
and it also confronts this spirit of empire building because empire building continues to go on. So banishing can be used metaphorically to reject this spirit of the spirit of empire, greed, extraction, domination by our like the culture that we belong to, that persists right now. Okay, so it becomes a practice of restating that this land used to be ours and to get off of it. It's like a metaphorical statement that this land did not belong to you originally. So, confronting the spirit of empire. I love that. So, that is like, do you think banishing is a feminist or decolonial act? And I think I've had enough venom in my gut for a couple minutes.
Yeah, so definitely, I also want to say, because like this isn't necessarily tied to like banishing aspect, but saying that people should get like the state that we're in right now, saying that these groups of people should get off of our land is even more mind blowing when you consider, yeah, first of all, like white people, like Europeans, were not here first, right? Indigenous people were here first. We stole their land. But then, even on top of that, we stole people from their homeland and brought them here. And now we're telling people to get off. Like, it's just mind blowing.
In
It's,
recent memory, like if you research like the
yes,
Hormel factory, we
yes,
import people from across
people.
the border to do the most
Yes,
dangerous jobs in our
yes,
country.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's insanity.
Absolutely
Saying
mind blowing.
it's
Yeah,
absolute, it's like mind melting to me. It's
yeah,
mind melting. Yeah.
yeah. And I think I agree with you that, like, I we've touched on this topic before, but the whole idea of what's the term that they use with like the sage burning and stuff?
Cultural appropriation.
Cultural
And we're going to
appropriation.
talk about that next. So join
Okay.
us for the next one. We will talk about cultural
Yes.
appropriation. Yes.
So yeah, so I don't want to go too much into it, but I think that that term gets thrown around a lot, and we don't understand that there's such thing as cultural appreciation. And we've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it again, but I don't. I think that learning from other cultures is a big part of decolonization because we are not letting this like white European root mindset take over everything. I mean, nothing wrong with like European roots, obviously, but that is the like colonization, right? And so like learning about these other traditions and keeping those practices alive while still understanding, like we do, learning about where this comes from, why they do this, and also naming that tradition when we use it. I think that that is more appreciation than appropriation.
Or
I
get
think that,
whitewashed because people get
yes,
assimilated into a
yes,
patriarchal, what like completely white like culture, like whatever
mm-hmm,
that looks like to you. You know, people
yeah,
get like it takes work to keep
yeah,
practices alive in a
yeah,
place where that is actively trying to shut practices down.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like it takes work to be a feminist in a country that is actively trying to like mock feminists and
yeah.
actively like trying to like
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I completely agree with it being like the feminist movement because it's about taking the power back, right? And this isn't to say that like men and males can't practice because obviously they can, but it's also like acknowledging, no matter your sex or your gender, acknowledging that women are powerful and stepping into that and like practicing is kind of like a like spit in the face of the patriarchal society, saying that women need to be quiet and subservient and just do as they're told. So I definitely think it's a feminist act for sure.
Yeah. So banishing is powerful and it can be used culturally and socially. And just the very act of doing banishing is a colonial and feminist act. It's like it's setting a boundary and telling people to get away from that boundary is a decolonial and it is a feminist act. So with that,
Agreed.
good. I'll see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.